Ladies, gentlemen, gentle lady mans, doids, welcome to the Cosmic Podcast, formerly known as the Unity. Might be changed, but we're back. In simple terms, we started this channel out as a podcast, then life happened and many things happened, and we stopped, and now we're back. So, 76% of you wanted. I made a post. 76% wanted the podcast. 24% didn't. These are videos. So, to those that didn't want it, you of course don't have to watch it. It's once a week. So, yeah. But majority of you wanted it. So, we're talking about stuff.
Yeah, last time we did podcast was like a long time ago, and the last thing we talked about was fear. But this time we're going to come back and talk about work. Just about the worker's life, give out our own stories about our experience with working, and just all in all, just talk about the good, the bad, the difficulty of finding jobs. Well, I don't know if that's going to be part of it, but you know.
Yeah, man, we gotta talk about the reality about it. You know, gotta help people understand, and we gotta help show them that they're not alone with what they go through. You know. It's okay to tell some dark stories here and there. It helps people understand that, oh, this person's going through that too. You know, happens.
Well, in any case, when it comes to work, I've been working, I think I mentioned it, I work at a dollar store for about 5 years now. I just finished school, and I'm actually working on a certain career path. I've been studying a lot for this career. Issues is not arts. I'm learning something else and see if I could go for this field. That doesn't mean I won't stop art, but as far as of now, I've been doing the dollar store, and for 5 years working there, I mean, there's a lot of experience. The first good experience I could talk about is the type of friends you make. When I worked there, I met a lot of like employees, people, and all in all, just a lot of them are close to me. Like some of them I hang out with outside of work, they're really close, and some I talk to as like their family to me. And even though it's like a small retail job, it's important to me because the people close to me, and people talk to me about like, they always ask me, hey Chris, you know, you're not getting, because the dollar store, you get paid minimum wage, and you don't get a lot of hours. But they tell me, why don't you work somewhere different like Target or Best Buy or something else? You know, and I tell everyone, you know, the reason I work at the dollar store, despite its very not good conditions, I could say, it's just that I'm just comfortable working there because I've been close to all my like co-workers. They're not just friends, they're like family to me. And it's difficult, don't get me wrong, but if I do get this opportunity, it's going to be something where I have to move away from. So the best thing I can say about working there is just the friends and coworkers you make are just like close to the point you feel like they're your family. But that doesn't mean everything is sunshine, because when it comes to when it comes to like retail, I can understand the difficulty of working as like a cashier or something, because you also deal with a lot, and I mean a lot of like negative people, or you could even say Karens if you want. And there's a lot of stories where I dealt with a lot of issues that I too get angry because, you know, as much as I try to like keep it cool, it's not easy when you deal with a lot of frustrations or issues. A good example I could say a while back, and this was years ago when I was working, I had this one customer who was paying, was buying stuff, and then they paid using Apple Pay from their phone. And I tell them the card is declined, or I said like it declined because it literally told me it declined. And the guy gets mad at me. He's like, what do you mean it's declined? I'm like, it just tells me it's declined. And he's like, what do you mean? I have money in my account. I'm like, I don't, what do you want me to say? Then he shows me his bank account. And I'm like, what do you want? I was like, I don't know what you want me to say, sir. It just says decline. You could try again. Like they're getting mad at me thinking I can control whether something can be approved or rejected, all right? And then after a while, it was been paid, he gets angry. And I can also talk about how there's some people who try to get things that they're not above age. And an example of that is a lot of times at the store we sell lighters, and you have to be 18 or over because it's like it's a dangerous item, obviously. Very dangerous. Because you don't play with fire. Like Chris, tip number 1: don't play with fire, because fire can burn you.
As Frankenstein would say, fire bad, fire very dangerous.
It is. And then I get people who tries to buy a lighter. I tell them, as long as I tell most of them that I don't think, I was like, you have to be 18 or older. And some of them get upset. They're like, what do you mean? Why can't I buy? I was like, you're not 18. And then I get some people who be like, then I get some people who would say they're 18. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm 18. But then I tell them, well, can I see ID then? Because I need to verify you're actually 18. And then most of them are like, I'm not 18. And I'm like, or they say they're not 18 or they don't have the ID. And sometimes, and I tell them, well, I can't sell this to you. And they're like, oh, come on, man, I want to buy it. And I'm like, well, you don't have ID. I don't trust you to be 18. And then they're like, oh, no, I'm actually 17. Can I at least get? I'm like, nope, you gotta be 18. And then they started getting mad at me for those reasons. And there are other times where, and this is when I'm not here, but there are times where we kind of get disrespected by employees. There's one story, I think, this kind of happened, but I think it happened to a coworker. They told me they're on these like mini ladders that we have. So it's like kind of a step stool ladder, which you use to like stock higher items. And then this one time, a little kid was running around with their daughter, or with their like sibling. A little kid was running around with their sibling in the cart, and they ran into the ladder. Luckily, the employee didn't fall, but the ladder was shaking. And the employee was telling the like kid, "Hey, you need to knock it off," and like all this. And the little kid didn't say, just didn't care. And the employee went to find the mother and told the mother, hey, your kid is running around, almost crashed me, injured me. And the mother was basically like, oh, well, kids will be kids. Basically, who cares? They're a child. You can't, kind of not caring or what their child does. And I remember we used to talk about this, where it's like we don't really feel respected by people, by companies, or all that, because even also, I said I worked for 5 years, and I heard if you work for 5 years, you get some type of certificate or something that's like a job well done. You worked for us for this long, and a watch or whatever, and I never got that. I don't think they even recognize that I worked for 5 years, or they just don't care. And
yeah, your management is just complete ass.
It's like they don't. And then I remember one of my coworkers. They said they got a gift card for working for 2 years, and I hate to admit it, I was a bit jealous by it, because I was like, oh, so you work for 2 years and you get some acknowledgement, but I worked for 5 years and I don't get anything. I could say I was definitely jealous. I can't say anything else, because I felt like, how come I didn't get nothing for working longer,
Yeah, I'd be too, man. It's like, what the hell? We worked here for the same time or longer, and it's, I've been working my butt off, and you're giving this person something, and
it sucks, and that's why when sometimes when I'm at a store or something and I'm with a register, I try to be as nice as I can, because I know how difficult it is working with that. And I work with when I'm with my grandma, I'm always bagging, and I remember one time we were at ShopRite and I was like apologizing. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for like making you wait and all that." And my grandma was like, "Why are you apologizing?" I was like, "I don't know. I just apologize because, I feel bad for making them wait longer while I'm trying to bag everything." It's not easy working in retail. I mean, and the area I work at is not the best area. I mean,
No,
like I
no,
said,
it's an awful area.
It's literally, I've been working there since I started college I started community college, and I started working at the dollar store because I had a friend's dad that used to be manager, but they left and we got new management, and then they moved, and then we got another new manager who I don't know how to say it with him, but
Douchebag and sucks, basically.
I don't want to say douchebag, more or less not manager material is the best way I could put it. They're not really manager material. I like the manager. I kind of teach him some things, and here I'm thinking he should know this stuff, and all that. And then there are times he would leave the store to do like smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm out here. I'm in the store working, and you're out. And he knows it's not the time, but I'm not going into that. But I started working once I started community college because obviously I was going to be driving. I needed money, and I remember I was saying to myself, "This is it's a temporary job. It still is. Like I said, I'm focusing on something else, and hopefully can make into a career. That doesn't mean I'll stop art because my grandma was worried about art. She's like, you don't stop doing what you love because you work so hard. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. If I get this position, which I hope I do, I'm going to make art on the side. I'm definitely going to continue making work for the cosmic community." Getting sidetracked, but and like I said, and working there, when I started working, I was scared. It was my first ever job, and I only used it for like money for school supplies and everything. And I was, like I said, when I first started, like everyone who starts a new job, they get nervous. They mess up. I messed up a lot, but I learned to get better. I remember one time when I started working, like I was still new, and I remember I was like doing I was ringing up this old lady, and I was giving her a change. I mistakenly did not give her the exact. I was only 11 cents short. She was like, "Hey, you didn't give me exact change." I look into it. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I tell it, like, I get the drawer open, I take out the 11 cents, and I apologize again. I'm like, "I'm so sorry for not giving you the change." And then the lady would go to my assistant manager to complain that I didn't give her the change in time.
Oh my lord.
After I gave her the 11 cents, and I kept apologizing profusely because I felt really bad for not giving her the change. I kept saying, "I'm so sorry, I didn't give you the change or the exact change. I gave her the change and all that." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I see her talk to my manager, and she's talking about the 11 cents issue. Like, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, I understand, but like, I was like I wouldn't say upset, but hell,
Like, what are you gonna do with 11 cents? I mean, geez, it's understandable. Like, yeah, you didn't give the full change, but it's just 11 cents, woman.
Regardless, like I said, I gave her the 11 cents. I just didn't give her right when I gave her all the change. Mm-hmm. And my manager my assistant manager, she was really cool. She was like, "Don't worry about it. It's only 11 cents. And you gave her the change. It's nothing to really worry about." But I remember when I started working at the dollar store, I was so emotional that I remember I was calling my grandma. I was like saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm losing it. I remember I started to get a little bit teary. It's like, if you want to quit, you can quit. But just who I am. I don't know. I always don't give up, especially when things are tough. I always like to push through it, despite how difficult it is. And eventually I became more capable, and like I said, I met a lot of new coworkers, some really close friends, some unfortunately had to leave the store. We got new people. I try to be nice as much as I can. Like, I like to be nice. I remember even like the people who don't talk, I try to do my best to get them out of their shell to be talkative. And they eventually do. They open up, and we start talking a bit more. I just like to make them feel comfortable. Is what I like to do. Hell, even one of my coworkers said, if me and another coworker left the store, it would probably be boring, because we just always like to brighten up the store. I remember sometimes at work in the past, before, like, once I come in the store, before I'm about to go to work, I scream in the top of the store, "Excuse me!" And everyone looks at me, and I'm like, "I would like to request some balloons." Just trying to be so weird and dumb. And everyone looks at me and gets quiet, and like some would chuckle, but some would be like, "What the hell is wrong with this guy?" I'm like, "I don't know, I just like to have fun." Because I tell everyone who works at the store, like any new people, I'm like, you can have fun in the store, you can have fun and like goof off, like, be silly. But it's only like, but you also have to get your work done. I always tell them, you can have fun, you can laugh, you can do all that, but you also make sure to get your work done. That's what I always say.
Damn.
Well, I know you have some stories to talk about.
Yeah, just letting I was letting you tell your war stories in the dollar store. I know you got them all, so I was like, damn.
Oh, I still got more too, but like, I don't.
I know you got 5 years worth of stories, I'm sure, but
I remember too, remember when I came over to your house with you and Joe. I went to and I got so mad, like I ranted for hours to the point my voice was sore from yelling because of all the annoying, like all the worst things that happen at work. That your parents were like saying, "Yo, he needs to calm down."
It was like 10 p.m. You were getting ready for bed, and then you were telling one story on how your day was, and next thing you know, you just went off like telling more stories. Like you were smacking your hands, you were jumping, you were getting aggressive. Next thing you know, we look at the clock, it's like 2 a.m. We're like, Jesus. Chris has been telling stories for...
Your parents were like, he needs to keep it down. I mean, like, I was yelling, because...
Yeah, no, my stepdad texted me, he's like, "Oh, can you keep down up there? Some of us have to work." Tomorrow I'm like, I should have read that. I was so focused in Chris's war stories in the job, I was like, damn. Well, I don't have any I got more funny stories rather than... than war stories. But for me, for example, I unfortunately was one of the many people that had many jobs. My first job, literally, my mom was a closer. She was a closer in the mortgage industry. She now got, fortunately, pay cut because the economy sucks donkey balls. But she was, top of her division and on. She brought me in. I had no idea what I was doing. She's like, "Okay, just call these people and get these verification forms." I'm like, "Okay." So I just sat there in a chair in an office, and these people would ask me questions like, "Oh, can I have the name of this and the number?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I was just, because I was like 15 or 16, so I had I was in my teenage phase. I had no respect for existence. I was a douchebag, I was going through that phase. But yeah, my mom didn't teach me any of these things.
Did anyone else teach you?
No.
So you were just trying to learn as you go along? No one was training you or nothing?
Nah, man, no one trained me. I just kind of brought in. They just said, "Listen, you just gotta call these people, ask for the verification to have it sent here." And I was like, "Okay." And then these people were asking me so many different questions. I'm like, "Guys, I don't know why you asking me this. I was told to make... I was full honest, I was supposed to be more formal and stuff. Like, "Oh, my apologies." I was supposed to use proper terms. I didn't know any terms. I didn't know formality of the job. I was just like, I don't know what you... Dude, I don't know what you want me to say. I was told to call this number and get this form. So I need that. And they all kept asking for the boss. I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." And I was like, I'm sorry. I don't. It's, you told me to you call. You didn't warn me about anything else. And eventually, they informed me a bit after that mistake, and yeah, I'm not a business person. They wanted me to dress up and speak formally. The boss always came, the big boss, the CEO, always came around the office, and I was like, all right, well, that's cool. So I had to look professional and sound professional, which I hated. It was a desk job, but even still. Also, this man's literally had the same birthday as me, but you know, he's the big CEO, big time millionaire, big time shot. So people, you know, some people were like, "Oh yeah, happy birthday to Kevin, yeah," and then everybody was just
They'll be like, "Happy birthday to you," and then like they're all like birthday candles, balloons, and everything, like birthday gifts for the manager. And like, what about me? Like, oh yeah, you too.
no, that's exactly what it was. It's like he was front and center, full cake and everything. You know, I was trying to get in there and like, hey, it's my birthday too, but no, I was just pushed in the back, like, yeah, nah, step aside, bud.
Here's a slice of the boss's cake. Just say that's your cake, all right? It's like, where's the candle? They just take a random like used candle and just put on the cake. Here's your candle.
Basically, I mean, my mom was upset about that too. She like, you know, she was trying to get me involved, but no, douchebag was really like, nah, it's my birthday. I'm the boss. I'm the millionaire here. Piss off, little pipsqueak. Get out. I was like, all right, well, I'll just chill back here, I guess. But it was still nice. Some of the coworkers were like, oh yeah, I know it was your birthday. I know you're trying to get in there, so happy birthday. They gave me some gifts and stuff. They did that at least.
I can imagine, like, the boss is like, oh shoot, I didn't know it was your birthday. Here's a birthday gift, and it's like a red slip. Like, what's this? A red slip. Get out of the job now. Get out.
Yeah, it was just you know, boss, it's my birthday. You're a millionaire. Can I get a beautiful gift? Yeah, here's 5 cents.
1 cent. No,
Dude,
it's like, you know what? That's taken from your paycheck. You know what? Give it that back. You get a penny. You know what? No, that's part of your insurance. Here, you get half a penny.
Yeah, here's your money. Oh man, I got $100. Yeah, but that's from your paycheck, so you're technically not getting anything. You cheap.
Yeah,
You're so cheap. I know.
like Mr. Krabs.
Unfortunately, he really was one of those kind of millionaire douchebag, because he was like the big time of the other company. He you know, and back then the mortgage industry was really good, so you know, with him, he made lots of money. He had the fancy house and all that stuff. Freaking.
But now they're making cutbacks because they're not making money, right?
Yeah, because industry is just going down, you know. And now years later, you know, years later you apply for jobs, you get interviews, but you get nothing.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I finished school in December applying to graphic design jobs. And there were some jobs that I thought were good, but even you and your family said, like, oh, some of these are a scam. Because I've been dealing with a lot of scams. The biggest issue I have was when I had my interviews for all these graphic design jobs, it was only through messaging. There was no in-person, no Zoom meeting. It was all messages. And obviously that's one red flag. And the second one was like, well, the one company that I applied to, it seemed legit. Like, she was asking like professional questions, and I was like, okay, yeah, okay. But then when I asked your mom about it, because I remember this was the same time I went to the American Dream Mall, this was happening. I asked your mom, hey, like, I just want to make sure this is a legit, because some people are like, this is legitimate, and I have some people like, this is a scam. And because they also like, oh yeah, you know, we'll give you a check, right? They're like, we'll give you a check. We'll send you an actual check so that you can buy all the necessary equipment to, you know, kind of get started. And the thing was like a brand new computer, which I have a computer that I do artwork for. It's old, sure, but I mean, I don't think I need a specific new computer. I needed a printer, I needed ink. And I was like, if this is a remote job, because it's a remote job, it wasn't in an office. Why would I need the only speculation why they would want me to get a printer was probably to like mail them the stuff. Even I don't know why they wanted me, but they like will send you a check, all this yada yada. I asked your mom about it, and she's like, the question seems like a legitimate, but there's an issue that it wasn't, actually in person or Zoom. Even my friends were like, that's not good. But then also when we researched, because they had an address for the building, and when we went to research the building and the address, it wasn't showing up. As in, there wasn't no actual building. People could say, oh, it was renting. People say, oh, it was other this. And they wanted me to sign a contract, and I didn't sign it right away. Again, this was during the American Dream Mall trip. I told them something else was happening. And then lady started to get more upset with me. She's like, why didn't you sign it? You need to sign it. You gotta sign the contract. And eventually, and then they're like, oh, you need to send ID. Eventually I did, but it was way too late. So, and again, there was other jobs. There was this one job that was like, oh, he was asking me these questions, and it wasn't even a graphic design job. It was just like an actual like computer technician. Like, you talk to people online to help them with their computer stuff. And every time he was talking to me, we didn't have an interview. He was like, oh yeah, and we'll tell you about the job. And then every time like I say okay, I just type the words O and K. The guy was like, next time, make sure you actually spell the word okay. And I'm like, okay, the actual word. So then he was telling me about the job, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I tried to research the guy, because another thing, an important thing, is always to research the company you're working for. You can't just apply to jobs willy-nilly. Well, no, I did that. But if you do apply to jobs, make sure you know they're legitimate, because some of them are not. In this case, this guy, I looked and tried to research into the guy. I couldn't find anything about the guy, so I knew this was a scam. And there was another graphic design job that was kind of similar to the one that I was getting interviewed for. It was another message, we were talking, but this time it was through email. They're like, oh, hey, they're like, why do you think, like, they just simple questions like, oh, hey, what will you do in the due date, or what will you do for this, or like, I just told them a bit by myself. I went to school for arts and all that. And then like after a few questions, I assumed, okay, we'll probably get like a Zoom interview. But no, I get an email from the person that was like, you got the job. We think you're the perfect candidate. And I was like, what the hell? And then they send me some things, oh, like, do you want to work part-time? Then they send me a link to to their website. I look into their website and it's fake. I want to say fake. There was like not much detail. There was only a couple tabs. It didn't seem legitimate, and I didn't trust it. I didn't respond to the email after they're like, oh yeah, if you want to accept the job. I was like, no, I am not. But when it comes to working for arts, it's difficult. My grandma's worried that I'd given up, because like I said, there's this one person who reached out to me about job opportunity. I'll just say, the job is insurance. They talked to me about insurance. I've been taking an exam for insurance. I've been studying. I'm very dedicated because this could be an opportunity. But my grandma's worried that I'm going to give up on arts, which I'm not. And it's not just me. A lot of people, at least for the art field, it's difficult to find jobs with art. It's basically impossible. That's, again, one of the reasons why I want the channel to get big. I already mentioned I don't care about fame because fame can change a person, and also people will do whatever they can to get fame. I had a couple experiences of some people doing that. That's why I don't care about that, but the only reason why I would like to get big is because I want to support small artists and get work shown. Because it's easy, it's difficult in the work field to at least get jobs in the art field. So at least if we can get big and get like a good amount of views or acknowledgement, we can show people some of their art, where they can find it, and maybe people would be wanting to, sell art to these other, or people will reach out, be like, hey, can you make art for me? Trying to start a business, I guess you could say. That's my main goal with the channel, is to help people get their work out and start working on what they love. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, being a small content creator ourselves, it's like we understand the struggle of that kind of thing. So that's something we want to just help other creators, not just with art, but just like other people. You know, it's it's rough. It is. It's hard to kind of get your stuff out there. It's hard to, especially now. You know, we're going through possible recession here in the U.S., so that's not fun. Um, it's a lot of people are losing jobs, can't get jobs, and it's just not good.
No. And that's like why in the work field, like, I mean, it's not saying like if we get big, we'll offer jobs to people. That's not what we're saying, but we at least would try to want to help people. At least for me, I want to help artists.
Honestly, if I had the funds, like if I was able to just like skyrocket the channel and make like billions of dollars, I would just pay so many businesses and be like, here, hire more people, give them jobs. The government don't care to help you, so the people are going to help you instead. Here you go. Some people actually, some billionaires and millionaires actually want to help and care. Okay, not everybody.
I was gonna say another idea is like maybe start an own like Cosmic Unity business and hire people who need jobs. And obviously, you gotta go through background checks, make sure they're, but at least try to help that out.
Oh yeah, I plan that. That'd be pretty cool to do. Honestly, it'd be cool to make a like with if we kind of made our own company to sort of have it be like for medical stuff wise, it'd be cool to have like a sort of charity thing where we pay people if if you're fully verified. Okay, you don't have insurance, you don't have this. This is a final fallback, and we got you covered. We'll take care of you, type thing.
I mean, like I said, I'm learning about insurance, and hey, if somehow I do manage to get insurance, or I start working for the insurance company, who knows? Maybe I can help out with people in that. Because I told the guy too, because the guy was like, why do you want to work with? Well, even though he recruited me, he was like, why do you want to do it? And he was like, why are you so interested with the company? I was like, you know what? And I told him straight up, like, I want to help people, and this is an opportunity because, at least to me, because people will be like money, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, money is important. Don't get me wrong, it helps living. But the reason I want to work with you guys is because I feel like I can actually help other people who need insurance. That's what I told him, and that's how I truly feel. I think, in a way, I can help people who need the coverage. At least that's what I believe. Like I said, I have to study more, and I have to take a big insurance exam, and hopefully pass so I can actually start working. And I'm gonna work my butt off to pass the exam. Because even my grandma was saying how I was dedicated to this, and I am. For one, it's a career opportunity. For two, it's a chance to help people, and three, I can move forward from everything that's happened.
Yeah, I thought before you were gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'll just tell him straight up, buddy. I ain't interested in this job. I just need a better job than the one I have. So once I have this one, that's all I care about.
Honestly, I wasn't thinking that. I literally told him I want to help people, and I told him several times, like, to me, I feel like even if it's insurance, it's a way that I can probably help people who are going through difficult times, and struggles, and I can probably provide them in any way. That's what I told him, and he was like. Then he told me other things like, oh, how dedicated are you to the He's like, how important is your part-time job? Well, I was like, it's not that important. But he's like, how important is money? And I told him, well, to me right now, money is still important to me, and I still have to work at the dollar store because I still have bills I need. Like, I have like doctor's bills, medical bills, or medicine bills, not medical medicines that I have to pay for. I have like my programmings that I need to pay for every month. Mm-hmm. All in all, I need to work at the part-time job so I can sustain, but that doesn't mean I'm just giving up. Hell, he even emailed me a couple days ago. He was like, hey, I just want to check up on your studying. Seems like you're making good progress, because it seems, I guess, he can also view the section. He can also view my progress with the studies, and he was like, it seems like you're making good progress. I was like, yeah, I'm learning about a lot of things. I'm learning about Medicare. I'm learning more about Medicaid, whole life insurance, term life insurance. I'm learning a lot of good stuff.
That's good.
But there's so much studying. Oh my god, there's so much studying that I have to do.
Worse than college.
Oh god. And I have 2 weeks to take the exam or so. So that's why I'm trying to push everything into this.
Damn.
But if I do get the insurance job, in a way I feel like it can help. I can also start a career, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give up on art, because that's what I've been doing my whole life. I haven't been able to do art now because, well, I've been spending like literally every time I have free time, like before I go to work, I study. And then after I go to work, I study.
And then when I sleep, I study in my sleep.
when I use the bathroom, I study. When I shower, I study.
I just put a waterproof casing on all these books and just, washing myself while I'm studying.
When I take the dog out, I study. When I'm getting mugged, I study. No, I don't want that.
When I'm eating food, I also study. When I'm driving, I also study. I let my hands and I let my feet drive. Totally responsible.
When I'm studying, I study. Basically, anytime I get any opportunity, I study as much as I can.
When I'm studying one book, my second eye is looking at another book to study even more.
It's a lot. It's a lot, too, because I have to take this exam and pass so I can be certified and actually start working for the insurance. But I guess, yeah, another reason is to get out of the dollar store. As much as, I like the people, it's not a job that you can just live off, because, no offense, in this economy, minimum wage means nothing in this economy.
Yeah, now so many people that were living by themselves have had to fall back to living with strangers or living with parents now. Like, the economy is just that bad.
Well, it's still like that to this day.
Oh yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. It's just getting worse, unfortunately, and it's just not great.
No, that's why I want to get this.
All these millionaires freaking wasting money on things we don't need. They could be giving this money to businesses to keep the jobs going, and they're ridiculous, That's another thing when it comes to, like, when you get a job. You also have to consider what's your goal for it. It's like, do you just see it as a means to an end, as a paycheck, or do you take the little grateful things of, like, even if you're working in a retail store, helping someone do this, helping someone do that. Obviously, something like Chris, where people just don't seem to be respectful or kind, is different. But
I mean, I still get like customers who are nice. Like there's a good amount of customers who are generally nice and kind. So I can't say every person is bad when I work there, because there's actually a good amount of people who are actually nice and kind, to like treating us like we're actual humans rather than nobodies.
That's good. That's good.
But again, like I said, there's still people who are rude, feel entitled, start issues.
Yeah, I worked in ShopRite, so I didn't have as much of a wartime, shall we say, as you did, but there were not good people, and there were some good people, so I understand a little bit of that, at least. Not fun.
I mean, there was one time when I started work. It was still when I was starting to work. There was a little restaurant near us that had a grease fire, so there's smoke coming out. My manager, the first manager, was telling me, because I was on break. I was in the back rooms on my break. Manager was like, "Yo, we gotta leave the store. There's a fire." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." I was like, "Oh shoot, I gotta leave." And I remember my manager, a lady was asking my manager, "Oh, can I just buy something though? I just want to buy something real quick." And my manager literally told the lady, like, "Ma'am, there's a literal fire that's happening next to the building. We can't have anyone here shopping. You have to leave." Some people don't. I guess I could say at least some, because this also happened I wasn't here, but this happened on Tuesday, where a coworker was telling me that there was some bangs happening outside. There was like 2 bangs. A customer came in and was telling the employee about, like, they saw like a white flash. They didn't know what it was, and my manager was obviously scared, wanted to have everyone evacuate the building. just to be safe, evacuate the building, call the fire department, and do all that. And there's customers who are like, wait, I just want to buy balloons, or like, I want to like do this real quick. And the manager's like, no, like, there's probably a possible danger outside that we have to deal like that. We can't have anyone in here. So they had to back. Like, what I'm trying to say is that some people don't really care about the dangers, but rather like because if it removes them from their shopping, they don't care. From what I could tell. The fire department did come. They told apparently they told them that it wasn't confirmed, but they had suspicion that it could have been like an electric box that just exploded. They can't guarantee it because they didn't find anything.
Yeah, there's a transformer right outside a shop right where I worked, and that would have so many issues all the time, and that would cause such a traffic jam. Oh, more that one. I mean, yeah, just the one corner where we live is just terrible there, and it's not fun. I mean, much like you, obviously the shop right I used to work. The big shop right. That's of course another plaza with a bunch of most shop rights, and of course its own plaza with other stuff. I don't know. Yeah. There was a sentence there somewhere. There was a lesson that I was trying to get across that was some form of knowledge. Anytime I went to ShopRite, I always parked in the back though. I just didn't care. I'm just like, the parking lot too damn full. I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna walk the extra, few spaces. Park back here.
I do that with my job. I park somewhere far and safe. Because in my area, a lot of accidents happen because a lot of people don't really care about driving. It's hard to explain, but basically they would run like other vehicles and don't care, basically. And there's sometimes I see people with damaged vehicles still driving because I hear that some people would just collect the insurance money and just keep the damage there. And the area doesn't care. The area doesn't care at all. So I make sure I park somewhere very safe because I don't want that happening to my car. Because God forbid something happens, chances are I will probably have to pay the price somehow.
Yeah, it's not fun. That's also another reason, I guess, to keep your distance. Yeah, is for extra safety. I mean, if it's raining, it does suck. I was always stupid, never brought an umbrella. I mean, I had a hoodie, but wasn't like a raincoat hoodie.
Another thing I remember doing was in high school, I was enrolled to do this work type thing. So basically me and another student from the high school would be taken on the bus and going to ShopRite, and we would be doing bagging for customers. I don't know if the school still does the work thing. Probably not, but I remember that when I started, it was back in like 2017, probably 2016, 2017, around this time. Did I tell you about this?
No, yeah, I remember you going to do that when we were in school.
Yeah, I remember I was bagging there time to time, trying to like bag. Some people were nice. I remember one time this lady got annoyed with me and she's like, move, I'll do it myself. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not bagging for you. I mean, there were times where a lady, like some person who was nice would like try to tip me money, but like the director or the person like, inspecting us would like be like, you don't do tips, you can't accept it. So I couldn't accept tips even if I wanted to. Sometimes they would try to do it underhand just so the person doesn't see. So I would somehow get $1, and sometimes if I have enough money from it, I would just like buy cookies or snacks, because snacks was like $2.49 like for a box of cookies.
Yeah, man, back in the beautiful days when everything was cheaper.
No, but there were times where I just didn't want to go there because I just couldn't. For one, I think this was during my free time too. This was like a free time period I had that I had to just like go there. So I would like make an excuse saying like, "Hey, I don't feel well. I can't go to this." Because personally, it's just I didn't like bagging at ShopRite. I mean, there were customers who were nice, who offered me, sometimes would offer me money even though I wasn't allowed to accept it. But
Yeah, when I worked at ShopRite, sometimes I worked in the back in dairy, which was nice because it was cold, it was fresh and relaxed. I mean, it still sucked because, you know, I had to deal with customers and bad people and all that, but sometimes they would call me up to the register for bagging assistance. And the problem was, I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll go help. I couldn't get to the front. By the time I got to the front, customer was done. And then the question of oh, where were you? I'm like, dude, you see how big your line is? See how big these other lines are? I have to walk all the way around. You see how many freaking people are in this store? You expect me just to get up here, you know, shove people out of the way, be like, oh, I need to be up here, move. You want me to climb on top of the shelves, my dude? And I'll happily do that. I'm sure that'll piss people off. Oh, don't mind me. You want this candy? Oh, let me step on it. Here you go.
No, another thing I could say, at least with the new manager, is like he makes sure you put so much. So usually he'll make me like, you know, stock the thing, and then he gets a whole nother U-boat of stuff. It's like, oh, can you also do this? And then brings a shopping cart over. So it's like, oh yeah, can you also do this? It's like, I'm not a robot. I can't do as much, and you expect me to do as much as I can, but I can't. You know, I can do it at my own pace, and you know, sometimes I can't do it because I'm the only one on register. So while I'm trying to, you know, unbox it, like stock stuff, I would have to go to my register, and you know, and for me, if I personally get done, I would need like another person to be on register so that I don't have to be on register and I could just stock. But if he gets mad at me, I'll be like, you know, I say like, I can't, you know, I can't do I can't stock and register, like I can't get this U-boat done and do register, you know, I'm not as fast as you think I am.
Yeah, that's another situation. It's like when there's just not enough people with you, and or you know, other people are busy, whatever the case is, and you're just kind of thrown in with multiple tasks. It's like I can only do one thing at a time. So that's, you know, that's never fun.
No, it really isn't. And then I remember this one time, so like Wednesdays we would like go, there's a back room on Wednesdays, well there's a back room where we have, but on Wednesdays we get a truck of supplies that we put on U-boats, and it takes hours, and sometimes, and you need a good amount of people to do it because it takes a long time, and there's a lot of boxes of items and supplies. So I remember one time, they wanted me to come in to do the truck. They're like, hey, can you come in to do the truck? I was like, all right, I was like, I'll come in only if I do the truck. They also made me do register, and the back rooms is pretty far from the register. So I have two other employees who are on register as well. The issue is that they're not really the quickest ones. They actually, they take their time, but just like, you know, taking their time is fine, but my issue was that I would have to do the truck, right? Trying to unload, and then I get a call on the phone, like on the speaker, saying they need backup. So then I'll have to run all the way back to where there's a line long as heck and try to help them out. And once the line's finally shortened, I'll try to go back to the U-boat and like lift heavy supplies. And then when they call for backup, I'll have to, it's just back and forth. There's not, like I said, I'm not like saying nothing, you know, people, it's fine. Like I said, they're doing it at their own pace. The only issue I was having is just that I was unloading heavy boxes and I had to run to help when it was needed, which is a good amount of times. And I literally told the like manager, or like I literally was promised that I was only going to do the truck and not the register, but you know, I guess that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's not fun. There's always those types of managers where they're just awful. It's very small chance that, I mean, you have the good managers, but like the manager I had with ShopRite, and he just, the way he treated, you know, all of us was just terrible. Sometimes we'd have bad customers like, oh, you know, I need to get these items today, and you know, you'd have to tell them, sorry, we don't have them. He'd go to the manager, and the manager come over to us and just be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, sorry, boss, we don't have these items. And so he'd recommend the customer something else, and the customer throw a hissy fit, and he, instead of, you know, being reasonable with customers, the manager just kind of chuck stuff at us, like, whatever, take care of this, go put that away. Like, what the
this actually happened with the new manager. So we can only accept, like 2 gift cards per customer, because if we do more gift cards, it would have issues and also could be scams. So we were only allowed to do 2 gift cards, and this one lady wanted to buy like 10 gift cards, or no, not 10. Like I forget how many there were. 27. I want to say 27, probably. And she wanted to buy, yeah, and she wanted to buy them, And I called the high, like the manager, not the assistant one, the brand new manager who should have known everything. And I was trying to tell him, I don't think we could do like this many gift cards, because it was 2 per person. And he was like, you know what? He made me ring up the 2. The lady wanted to do like $50 on each gift card, and I think the total was around like $700 to $800.
Jesus, woman, that was not smart. She could have literally just something definitely fishy was.
Like I said, we can only do 2 per person. But like I told her, like I had the manager come here, like the manager, and I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure we can only do 2. And he was like, he was like, just ring the 2 up. I was like, okay, sure. Then he tells me, ring up the 3rd one. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, ring up the 3rd one. So I rung up the 3rd one, and then he was like, just keep going until I rung up every single one in one single transaction. And it costed around, like I said, around that much total. And I was like saying to one of my coworkers, I'm like, hey, I don't want to be in trouble for whatever happens. Because
some people are just, awful like that, and it's just.
Let me see. Okay, I found the message. Okay, here we are. So, lady bought 26 gift cards that costed $936. 26 gift cards that costed that much.
Damn,
and I was
almost
$1,000. Yeah, and I was trying to tell the manager, hey, I think we can only do 2 at a time. But he told me he kept ringing all of them up in one single transaction, which was not something we could do. But he wanted me to do it, and I was like, if I get in trouble, it's not because it wasn't because the manager told me to do it, And speaking of gift cards, there was another time this lady bought 3 gift cards that costed 3 gift cards. 1 gift card that was like a gift shop, like a store gift card, and then 2 that was like kind of like a Visa gift card. She wanted to put $500 on each dollar on the Visa, which cost basically like $1,000 and $1,010, and it was all in cash. And then a little bit after, she comes in angry because the gift cards weren't working. And I try to like calm her down. I was like, like first she started yelling at the manager, the guy, and I was like, whatever. I was like, okay. And then she comes to me. I was trying to calm her down, tell her, hey, here's the number for. Now I remember, it wasn't Visa gift cards. It was Apple gift cards. Yeah, it was Apple gift cards that she was buying. And she was saying how she needed the money because she was going to travel to another state. Now, I remember one of my coworkers like, why would you need Apple's gift card if you're going like for another state? I was like, whatever, it's not my business. I was trying to tell her, here's the Apple number and here's the Apple gift cards if you want to like call them. I was trying to be nice. And then later, one of the sisters or whatever comes in yelling, saying like, I wasn't here at the time. I wasn't there when his cousin came back. Just yelling about like getting her money back. Unfortunately though, once the transaction's completed, we can't refund the money from the gift cards because it's not in our possession anymore. It's the company that you put the money in that you have to talk to them about it. Since that's like I'm pretty sure that's the law. Well, that's our store. Is like we can't refund money from gift cards because the money's already been active on the gift card. So we can't just give you money back because there's a chance that the gift card works, so you got your money back and you got the gift card money too, That's kind of why they don't do it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, that's why we don't refund the money because, there could be a chance the gift card does work and therefore we give you your money back. You will not only have the money you used, but you also would have the gift card money, so it's pretty much like a scam. That's what they say. But the lady was getting so mad. She's like, "Oh, it was speaking. I knew it was Chris because on the receipt it says who was like, and it was like, oh, Chris was there, and I wasn't there when that happened." But yeah, I was like, at least when my store, when it comes to gift cards, we try to limit it. Though, I'm glad I didn't get in trouble. Thankfully, I didn't get in trouble for the whole gift card thing because my manager told me.
Someone got to
But,
call
yeah.
HR on those managers.
Yeah, well, people did, but nothing. Oh, but I mean, on the plus side at work, I mean, yesterday at work, I found a $5 Canadian, like a $5 Canadian that I just have now.
That's pretty cool.
So,
That's pretty cool. Little
yeah, so
collector
I
item.
like to, yeah, I like to. One thing I can say at work is like, when I see like a dollar coin or 50-cent coin or something I don't have, I would take something like money out of my wallet and put it in the register, and then I was just like, I'm exchanging. I'm not stealing it. I'm just exchanging my money for this currency. So I would take money like a dollar bill or like any quarters. If it's a 50-cent coin, I'll take 2 quarters from my pocket, put it in the drawer, and take the 50-cent coin. I'm just exchanging the money because it's still the same amount of money at the end of the day. You're just switching it over.
Yeah.
And then, like, I have a $2 bill, so I took 2 singles from my wallet to get the $2 bill. And yeah, I mean, hey, like I said, $5, like a $5 Canadian, I'll take it. I would like to get like Japanese yen or like Japanese currency or Asian ethnicity money. That's something I would really like to get.
Yeah, we all know you like your Asian.
I like the culture.
I was
like
combining
the culture.
cultures and traditions. I was like, traditions.
Traditions. Well, I mean, I've always been fascinated.
I know.
The thing is, obviously, the plan would be to go to Japan one day. That's a bucket list of mine. To definitely go to Japan. Or somewhere like that would be really cool. Well,
Yeah, the closest things like I've got to. I had a job where it was this non-profit organization called Goodwill, which is like a donation thing, where people will just, they don't go to sell, but they give us their stuff and we sell it for like a few bucks, basically. It's a donation center, people donate to it and then we kind of give it for like 10% of, but.
I was gonna say like thrift store in a way.
Kind of, but not really. Like we don't give something for money. Rather, it's more, you still have to buy from there. It's just, yeah. But my point being, it's like a lot of people would always donate, and sometimes they would give like really cool old vintage stuff here and there. I worked in the back in the warehouse, but then again, like most people, if you had the job there, if you worked there, you would work literally everywhere, all over. You do register, you do shelving, you do stocking, you do warehousing, and all that. It was pretty cool. But I had a main issue with the man's there, where he was concerned about fire safety. He's like, you can't block the door with the box. I'm like, dude, where I placed the box wasn't anywhere near the door is the problem. Like I would have it on the floor. And he's like, no, can't, this has to be back here. I'm like, where there's no door here. This is literally in the freaking right against the wall. There was no door. What do you want? What kind of crack are you on, buddy? So that was a annoying thing, but anyway, like, people would bring in boxes and cool vintage stuff and old stuff. And the nice part was we can kind of decide what price it went up to. So like a lot of us were really nice. We're like, all right, these people that come into the stores aren't rich people, so let's make everything super cheap. So sometimes people would bring in guitars, for example, and we'd have basic computers so we could look up the prices of them, and like these guitars would be like $500-600, and we were just like, yeah, it's gonna bring that down to like $50. As a guitarist myself, I knew how hard it was to get other guitars, so I'm like, yeah, I got all you covered. And it was a beautiful guitar and stuff. So lots of clothes we put out there for like $2-3 because the manager was lazy. He never bothered to check the prices. He never bothered to confirm. He kind of just sat in his office, did nothing all day. Little biatch he was.
That's the thing about like when you become a manager, you gotta be, well, first caring, respectful. You also have to be obviously the one in charge. You can't be someone who's in charge and just treats your employers or employees just like not slaves, but like just non-human people, just someone like
Yeah, you
dirt,
can't be
like
disrespectful or rude.
Yeah,
It's not good. So, but after shop break for me personally and that business job, I made a full focus on I have time. I'm still young. Many other jobs I can get. I focused on warehouse preferably. I still had to work with people, of course, co-workers, which honestly sucked just as much because, of course, I would always get put with the freaking lazy douchebags who are like, "Oh yeah, do my work for me." Like, buddy.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of this one coworker I had, and I don't want to sound like anything. It's just this one coworker. He was like telling me about, how he can't find a job, how it's difficult, and how he can't find love, and and how people seem to have it better than him. And I was trying to tell him, like, it's not easy. You just gotta keep looking. And then I was telling him about the experience I had with my ex, and then he was telling me, at least you had a girlfriend. I was like, okay, but I didn't have the best experience. I mean, I had a good experience, but there were some things that happened. But I can understand that feeling of you wanting that connection. But another issue was that, the reason with this specific coworker is just he doesn't know when to think, when it's the best time to say something. I'll just give one example. He was like, there's this one lady who had an accent, and he was like, "Oh, you have an accent?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm from London." And he was saying how he had to spend a semester in London. And she was like, "Oh, what did you like about it?" He just straight up said, "I hated it. Everything about it was terrible. I don't like it." In front of her face, no less, someone who came from London. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you had a bad experience. Hopefully next time you get in." He was like, "I'm never going back there." I mean, he was giving his opinion, but from the issues, it's a time and a place. And then there's other things he would say. For example, another example is my coworker was talking to me about football, aka soccer. She was telling me about the teams, and he overheard about us talking about football, and then he screams out loud how soccer or football is an abomination. And she got so mad by that because, first of all, he wasn't in the conversation. Secondly, it's kind of rude. Again, it's fine to say your opinions. At least you gotta, sometimes with this situation, it's best to think and see how, because in the channel, like I said, we don't mind about opinions. It's fine. It's just for him, because another issue with that, if you say something he doesn't like, he gets upset by that. He was like, "I don't like what you're saying. Can you please stop talking about that?" Whereas if he says something that you don't like, he doesn't really acknowledge that. That's the issue I'm having, is that with him, he says what he wants, which is fine. But if you say something he doesn't like, he gets upset by that, And that's kind of the reason why it's difficult to connect with this guy. And then he was telling me about all this. I try to be my best and it's difficult, but you just gotta keep looking. And I was telling him about the potential job for the insurance and my studies, and then he straight up says how he's jealous of me because he's been applying to a lot and all this. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. He was like, I'm so jealous, you get a job and I'm applying. I was like, I understand. Trust me, I've been applying too, and there's a lot of people who've been applying. I understand. I wasn't trying to gloat. I was never gloating. I was like, yeah, I got a potential job for insurance. I'm going to study. And I was telling people about it. A lot of my coworkers were happy for me because, like, you got to get that job and get out of here because this place is good. But he was like, I'm so jealous of you. How come you get it and I don't? And all this type of stuff. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it with the job opportunities and difficulty finding it. I don't know. It just felt... I can't explain how I felt by that. I felt like... I didn't feel mad or anything. I wasn't mad. I understood, but like... I just can't explain it. How I felt by that.
Gotcha. Well, that's enough for our first episode of this podcast. Come back next week when we talk about more stuff that will keep surprised. Totally, we just don't. I didn't figure out things yet. You have good day. Unless you have any more war stories you need to get off your chest.
Nope.
Okay. Come back next time. Like, subscribe, buy our stuff, or don't. I don't know. Have a good day. Bye.